Grandview moves to 2-0 on the season with an impressive win at Benedictine on Saturday. Head coach Joe Woodley here with us. And you mentioned after the game, Joe, that it's one thing to kind of think that you guys are capable of doing it, but it's another to go out and actually do it. And that's what your team did on Saturday.
Yeah, sometimes that's hard to get yourself to buy into that, to believe that, but our players certainly did, and I didn't really know. Felt like I knew a lot about this football team going into the first game, and then I wouldn't say we put our best foot forward in that first game. Just a lot of mistakes, and not that we didn't make mistakes Saturday, but I think we learned from the mistakes we made in that first game, and our guys, man, they really came out with a lot of confidence in this game, and that's a credit to them. And not that I didn't have confidence in them, but they exuded that, and I think that's just great. It shows the great leadership that we have, the guys that we have in this program that have really bought into everything that we're trying to do with them as coaches, and it was really fun to watch. It was rewarding, especially not getting off to the best start. And to see them overcome that. Nobody flinched on that sideline. Everybody kept their cool, players, coaches alike. And that's always that always feels good when you're the head coach. Because of course, I'm trying to stay calm. After we go 3 and out on offense, and then they come down and score in 3 or 4 plays, and we didn't really give them much resistance. I'm like, oh man. But like I said, nobody flinched. We responded. Even made a couple mistakes as we were clawing back, but certainly gained control of that game, probably midway through the second, and really never looked back. And, it was just a heck of a day, a fun sideline to be on, fun locker room to be in at the end of the game, and just very, very thankful to the group we have. And like I said, it's still only the second game of the year. And we've got to improve. We've still got to learn from the mistakes that we made and take it into this week.
I thought your defense really set the tone, especially early after you mentioned you took kind of that first punch, fell down 7-0, and I think your defense were really inspired after that.
Yeah, they did. We thought we had a good plan against them. It wasn't a real extravagant plan. It was just alignments and assignments, and just doing them a little bit better than them, and I think up front, our defensive line really for the second week in a row has really set the tempo, set the line of scrimmage. I thought we did that early. I think they only had, I think I got the halftime stat sheet, and I want to say they were at like negative 12 yards rushing, against for a team that, they've been well over 250, I think, in each game that they've played to this point before us, and so that was a pretty telling statistic. Now, a couple of those were sacks, and you got to kind of work that in, I suppose. But they were trying to run the football, and they weren't having much luck, and we were getting some TFLs on that, and for them to really get their offense going, I think they want to get that run going. And then set up for some play action stuff, and and they just never really they couldn't quite get their footing in that first half. But I knew, they're a good offense and they're well coached. I knew they'd kind of get it going, and they did at times there in the second half. But by then, we were for the most part playing keep away, and they were on the sideline a lot of the time. Big credit goes to our offense. You give credit to the defense. Our offense, right after we give up a score, I think to put it within a couple touchdowns, still a ball game, and our offense goes on I don't know how many plays it was. I certainly know how long it was. It was about an 8-minute drive from our own 5-yard line and scored a touchdown there. Took up, kind of the end of the third and a little bit of the fourth, and that gave our defense quite the breather and gave us breathing room, so to speak, with the scoreboard, and we kind of coasted it in and finished it out. So complimentary football there. You hear that term a lot, but man, there's no better way to describe that than just straight complimentary football right there.
Had a couple of 100-yard rushers. The quarterback, Jackson Waring, ran the ball really well. Tim Nimley had 100 yards, and then you throw in Van Pelt. He was up there, so you really had a strong running game on Saturday.
Yeah, we did, and Jackson, he gives you that element. Anytime as a as a defensive, as a defensive coach, which I've been most of my career, pretty much all of it. Anytime you add in that element of a quarterback being able to run the football with design plays, and you've got another blocker with the running back, that's tough. It creates an extra gap, and I think we took full advantage of that at times. And of course, Jackson made some plays. Improvising, whether it be on a passing concept that they covered up well, and he just, kind of made something happen with his feet. And then, of course, you mentioned Tim. That's a kid I couldn't be more happy for, and kind of a guy that's, somewhat waited his turn. I mean, he's played a little bit over the years, but his role's really been magnified this year, and at least through these first two games, and it'll probably be more based off what we saw him do, because quite frankly, he had a couple runs where there wasn't much there. We didn't block it right. We didn't call the right play on one of them, and he made something happen. And he ran with power. He ran with speed, and made guys miss. I love the kid to death, and he's had quite the life. And for him to be where he's at, doing what he's doing for us, is so rewarding as a coach, and really fun to watch. And of course, DVP's he's just steady. He's kind of your blue collar running back, three yards in a cloud of dust kind of guy, and always falling forward and physical. And he has some athleticism out of the backfield. He had a big catch and run. And so yeah, as long as we stay healthy there at that spot, and I'd be remiss if I leave out Cale Culver, popping I don't know how long that run was at the end, but that's 2 weeks in a row now. He's popped some touchdown runs to basically seal it for us. So again, another kid, been here, special teams guy, started on scout team, worked his way up, and just making the most of his opportunities. So feel good about where we're at, within that group, and obviously at a number of other places. But just a great team win. Everybody felt good. If you'd have told me we go down to Benedictine and about the entire roster played, I'd have said you'd be crazy. But I think we got darn near everybody in that football game, and that's rare against those guys, because that is a really good football team, a team that I think will win a lot of games here moving forward.
Okay, we look ahead now to Saturday, first home game at Williams Stadium, the Duke, this year, as the Vikings welcome the Vikings of Missouri Valley College. They're coming off a win over Clark on Saturday, also out to a 2-0 start. What do you see out of the MVC Vikings this year?
Just a kind of a different attitude. It's a new coaching staff. Coach Troth, resigned/retired. I think he's still working for the school, but long-time legendary coach for them. A lot of wins out of him, and stepped aside, and they brought in a new guy, that we're somewhat familiar with. He was down at Peru State. We played against him. I can't remember if it was just 1 year or maybe 2 years, but was always impressed with how his teams played when he was there. He's got a pretty good pedigree of coaching at all levels of football, small college, Division I. He spent a long time in the Canadian Football League, so he's a football guy, and it pops out to you on tape. I just think they're they're a little bit more better. I don't know if prepared's the right way to put it. It just looks a little cleaner than maybe some of the MVC teams of the past, and I think he's got them headed in the right direction. And they're 2-0, and they beat a really good Graceland team, who I think's really good. They beat them in their home opener under him, so I got to believe they're playing with a lot of confidence. And if you're 2-0 just like us, you feel good about things, and I think they're gonna come in here fully expecting for this to be a 4-quarter fight, and that's how we got to prepare for it. I mean, quite frankly, that's how we prepare for every game. But they got a very dynamic quarterback, runs around, makes plays with his feet. Seems like Missouri Valley always has one of those kind of guys. They've got a Division I transfer at running back, who I think's outstanding. They've got a good offensive line. A number of guys returned from a year ago. A couple of the guys in the receiving group returned from a year ago. Defensively, it seems like there's a lot more newer personnel than what we've seen in the past. But again, I just think they look a little bit better prepared defensively, which is the head coach. That's kind of his specific side of the ball. So fully expecting a heck of a fight on Saturday, but it'll be fun to go back home. We played our first home game, away from the Duke, so to speak. But it'll be fun to get back to the Duke and play, and it should be a great day to play. I think it'll be a little humid from what I've seen, but I'm pretty confident our guys will be ready to roll.
All right, Joe, thank you.
Thanks, Geoff.
Grandview hosting Missouri Valley College on Saturday at Williams Stadium at noon.